Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast with host Kat Ward.
If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Our symbol, the trident, gifted to us by the priests of Troy Xenos centuries ago when one of the first monster hunting teams out of Corinth battled a contingent of Vrykolakas that had infested their temple. After the victory over the monsters, the head priest declared, "You are three lances acting as one, not unlike Poseidon's mighty trident of light. That would become our name, the Trident of Light, for the good we did and still do against the dark evils of this world."
Available at Amazon Books.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it.
The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids,
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die, yo?" Reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover. What's got this ugly green shit going across my screen? What is this?
I forgot to plug my camera in.
Jay's just naked. He realized it right as he's going on. He pulled it off. Yeah, we know what's going on. Oh, man. There's some things we don't need to see, people. I'm just saying. Oh, welcome everyone to UFO Undercover. I hope you're having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. You know, I say this every week. There's nowhere else I really want to be but here chatting with y'all about different things and different subjects. Tonight, we're going to be getting to maybe a little bit of the dark side. There's Jay right there. Look, see how handsome he is. we may touch a little bit on the dark side as the night goes on. Hey, Heidi, how you doing, sweetie? It's
Hey, Heidi.
Oh, see, these outer realm people scare me when I see them come in here. It makes me not want to do the show and shit. Speaking of that, I'm glad I seen her though. Actually, I want to let everyone know we have the UFO Paranormal Radio page back. YouTube, it's infinite wisdom between Michelle and I sending multiple letters. We finally got, and this is what's so funny. So they turned us down the first time. I rewrote the letter, sent it back. They turned us down. So last night around 1 a.m., I was checking on two different things, and neither one of them were there, which pissed me off. And when I checked on our page, it said, "Sorry, we reviewed it. We're not going to give it back." Well, so I'm just pissed off. So today I'm messing around with something, and I see a message from Michelle pop up, and it's got a thing saying, "Oh no, we reviewed it, and yes, we're going to let you have your page back." Don't. YouTube, thank you for giving us our page back. I don't know what else to tell y'all. I don't even know what to think about most of this stuff. It really had to do more with someone getting their feelings hurt on another show, but it's
Well,
neither
but I
here.
also think that part of the problem is that they have bots that watch the shows. That they don't have an actual person.
Yeah,
So,
but on the night we got suspended, there was a particular show that had a
Uh-huh.
particular problem. And, I mean, Michelle dealt with it, and but it was just
Thank you, Michelle.
sometimes people just get pissed off. And I'm telling you, we sent them originally. We sent them a letter. This was like 4 weeks ago. We sent the first letter, and it took them like 2 weeks to give it back. And then I kind of changed the letter and sent it back, and it took them another week to answer that letter. And I've never seen YouTube. Usually it's like 2 days, screw you, or 2 days you get it back. You don't usually see stuff like that. Well, I mean, they accuse us of some pretty harsh stuff, so I'm glad they went and took a look at it to see what it is. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking with Michelle DeRoche, who's in the room. She follows us in the outer realm. She'll be on, as a matter of fact, in about an hour and a half, or about an hour, 40 minutes. She'll be on, wreaking havoc, causing trouble. I don't know. See, we're all innocent on this show. We're all sweet.
She's going to put our brand new recovered YouTube page in jeopardy again.
Well, we're actually we're on it. So if
her letter was apparently too hostile for.
Well, no, it was funny because they didn't say anything. You know how YouTube doesn't tell you anything, so they just said no, and I said okay, but I still had the original draft Michelle had sent me, so I just changed it around a little bit, and then in the middle of it, I said, well, look, could you please tell me who was doing these things so I could make sure that they were bleeping fired in that order? Well, no, because this is a serious offenses they were saying happened.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest, if Michelle would have already fired him, if it was true, I wouldn't even have to worry about it. But if I'd have found that, I'd have fired him too. So I asked as politely and as succinctly as I could you, if you're not going to let us back on, could you at least tell me who these people were so we could make sure that we're not having this problem? I said, because we have several people watching the network, and I said, we don't put up with this kind of mischievous shit.
Yeah.
I said, you'll get fired in a heartbeat. Besides, my manager likes to fire people. I said,
yeah, we got a lot of new guys coming in. We need to make more room for more. So,
I was just telling somebody that just about an hour ago. Michelle likes to fire people. I'll have to tell her about that after her show. But anyway, getting to a more serious topic. Wait, what about space? Oh no, not the bimbos in space. No.
Let's not talk about that tonight, please.
Kirby asked me on Friday. How's that?
Yeah. Friday and Saturday on the chat and news on the flip side. We'll handle that.
Yes, I can't do bimbos in space tonight. Michelle via tall tales. They're just. I just can't. Look, I save it. You can ask me any question on Friday night, and I'll answer it because I can say what I really feel. Here I can't. So tonight it's just bimbos in space, and leaving it to that. No, well, Michelle got me thinking the other night. I was actually out around with Michelle DeRoche the other night. Thursday of last week, and it's been a while since we've talked about any of the cases. So I've been flipping through cases for her show, and it got me flipping through other cases, which got me, of course, flipping through other cases. Now then flip through, I don't know, 1,500 cases. I should just choke Michelle for this. Yeah, so I got all this stuff, getting in my brain. to think this was always in my brain before. Before anybody asks, because I do other things now, I have to kind of compartmentalize what's going where. So I'm real lucky because Michelle takes care of a lot of the day-to-day operations of the network. So it allows me now to fiddle in. Finally, I'm making headway with some other people. Some other stuff we'll just say, which I'll all be pleased about as it comes out. Actually, in 7 or 8 days, the new TV part of the network should be debuting, or I don't know, 7 to 14, however long it takes them to do what they got to do. So y'all will be checking that out, and then there's some other stuff coming up. And then I know of at least 3 pay-for-view investigations that are scheduled. Yes, I did say pay-for-view because it does cost money to go places and do investigations. One, though, that several of us will participate in. I know the gang from the chat will all be there because they all live nearby, except for Michael and I would live a little further away.
Michael's about 3 hours out, and I think you're probably about 19 or 20. If you
last trip I took to DC, it took me 16 hours to get there, and I was
I'm another hour away, and then another half an hour to Gettysburg. You're about 17, 18 from me. Yeah.
And that's driving like Smokey and the Bandit kind of driving. So we want to try to avoid that. I was in a hurry to get to DC for that particular conference. I still remember there was 5, 6 people in the car. And I blew by the state trooper in Virginia somewhere, and actually in West Virginia. I blew by him so fast I seen his car do this. And some bitch didn't even look up. Jay, it's like, is he sleeping?
He was probably asleep.
I was like, everybody in the car just took a breath because we was cruising. Nobody was smoking weed. Who typed that? No,
That's it. He pulled over some teenagers about 20 minutes earlier. And
Michelle, if you're still here, put who your guest is tonight because somebody just asked me and I don't know. Well, no, until I look, I don't know. I usually do that at the end of the show, not at the beginning. No, no. So there's been some dark stuff over the years. What the hell, man? Pop-up city tonight. I don't usually get pop-ups on my computer. It's kind of weird. It's just the more I looked at this, the more dark cases I remember. So somewhere in my head, I must file some of these cases away because as I was reading through the files, and a friend of mine who developed this the original software, which was Kelly, and then it was updated by a few other friends of ours, and then a good friend of mine who used to work out at the HARP facility. I know Michelle's awesome, so you can't be saying that.
Close Encounters of the Ancient Kind is the subject tonight. I don't see a guest.
There it is. I see it now. It just popped up. Debbie Dishinger? How do you say that?
Dishinger.
Well, that ought to be fun. It's you get a lot of entertaining stuff on the net. You get to learn a lot too, but you also get a lot of entertaining stuff. Then they got Michelle let these a-holes loose on Saturday night. I don't know what we're going to do with them. Just God, the only time they behave is when somebody's on with them, and then barely even then. It's
even
just
barely then, yeah.
Poor Carrie Lynn. See, Laura Lee's used to us, so Laura Lee knows how to deal with it.
Network a while. Carrie Lynn's only been here a year or so.
Yeah, well, Laura Lee's been on a lot of panels with her, so she knows if she wants to say something, she's got to step up and say something.
Yeah,
poor Carrie Lynn. Then. But we were nice, Michelle. We were very nice to Carrie Lynn because she's a very sweet person.
Mm-hmm.
It's who typed it? Where is it on there? Oh, my messenger. Saturday night starts around 6:30. Whoever gets there first, JRI usually opens it up. It's about nothing before anybody asks. It's
no
nothing.
Subject matter. We talk about
it could be about something. I mean, it could be. But it's not really. It's basically we just give everybody the bird and just talk about whatever we want. Actually, that's not even true. We don't even talk about what we want. We talk about what y'all want. So whatever the people listening write in and say hey, or call in and say hey, that's what we talk about. And sometimes it's just say weird topics.
Yeah, well, if the chat room is quiet and they're not asking us questions or giving us things to talk about, we're going to digress into like food or something else. That's
Samantha, to answer your question, the darkest thing I've seen, I couldn't tell you it's classified. Not shit. It's actually classified. It's the darkest thing ever. Now, the second darkest thing I've ever seen was that freaking shadow thing out in Honey Island Swamp, which I've talked about on many occasions, but that shit still scares me. Look, people, They don't even say those words around Jay, and that's just like insanity. No, this particular case it was something about it scared the hell out of me. Look, I've been in all kind of hairy, scary places, and it didn't scare me. And people always ask me why I carry a gun. I carry a gun. If you ever seen the movie Deliverance, that's why I carry a gun. Not because of the animals, not because of the alligators, not because of the bears, not because of the snakes.
They're predators.
It's because of the idiot people that you might run across while you're deep in the swamp. And I mean, sometimes with 14,
deep in a swamp, you could be being evacuated from a hurricane, as I and my friend were, where we were almost accosted by some rednecks that lived in the area. Unfortunately, I flashed my gun at them, and guess what? Nothing happened. It's not like I went freeze. I just pulled my shirt back and said, "Look what's on my hip."
So yes, somebody's getting shot. That's. But that particular thing, and there's only an ICAR's case book. I've looked again. There might be, depending on how you want to categorize it, 13 to 26, 27 of these cases. They're just, the first thing of it is the fear is unreal. It's a fear. You can't even put it in words because it's not real. And when you're experiencing it, it's not real, but you can't get through it. It's just like the more you struggle, the worse it gets. So it's almost like you're feeding it. So that's one of the reasons I got in the car that night, and I was already in the car that night and just hauled ass. Look, people, think about this. I'm about 18 miles back in a swamp, sitting up against NASA's Stennis facility. This is where I'm at. You got to picture this in your head. It's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. All the animals are moving. You can hear the swamp is alive. You can hear all kind of stuff going on out there. Occasionally you hear alligator burping or hipping or trying to find another alligator just yawning. But you hear them moving around. Every now and then you see a couple of hogs come by, usually some big ones, along with some little piglets following behind them. And and the sky is just lit with just star after star. There's no ground light out there at all. There's no anything kind of light out there at all except for the starlight. So it's really, really pretty. So here we are, and we're sitting in the car, an all black car with black tires and even black. There's no chrome in his car at all. So we're sitting there just talking with the moon roof open, and for some reason I reached over to reach something around Linda, and when I did, I stepped down on the brake, and the red lights came on, and son of a bitch, when the red lights, I thought I seen a black figure. I don't know, 8 to 12 feet tall, probably 8-9 feet wide, but it was kind of blobbyish, and I was like, no, Joe, your brain is, you're deep in the swamp, you're seeing shit. Stepped on it again, it was closer to my car.
Ooh.
But it seems like, and we didn't figure this out till later, it seems like when your light hit it, it kind of stopped. So I kept my foot on the brake, I dropped the son of a bitch in the first, and I just punched it. So whatever was behind me was just dirt, mud, rock, whatever there was, shit was slinging everywhere. So now you get a picture. I'm in a I think it's like a 99 Stanza. Nissan Stanza. I'm flying wide open on this gravel road in the middle of the swamp on both sides of me. You can hear the rock sliding off into the water as I'm going around the turns and shit. And I'm just cruising. Now, don't get me wrong, I've driven this road many times, not quite this fast, but I've especially when I was younger, we used to go back there and get a little loaded, drive the road. So I'm familiar with the road. So I'm cruising, and I see this thing. It's just, because my tail lights are on now, because my headlights are on, and I can see this thing gaining on my car. And I'm thinking, how much faster can I go on this road without killing us? Because, the car will do 160, but there's no way on this road you're doing 160. Just the gravel alone will keep you from getting much over 100. So, because every turn is there's a deep bed of gravel. So, when you get around 100, you start getting wanting the car wanting to slide way out. So anyway, I'm coming, and I know I'm maybe 2 miles from that. There's another road that's just a straight black top road that runs from where the old bridge, where they collapsed it, where NASA is, all the way back out of the swamp to the interstate. So I know this is coming, and I know there's a hump there. So I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I know this thing it just seems like it's catching up. So I stepped on a brake and it stopped, and I let off the brake and it rushed up, and as it did, I stopped again and just cut the wheel sideways and slid up the gravel and just kind of plopped down on top of the fucking road. Boom, and the car just bounced. And when I did, I reached out, and I only had a 380 on me this particular night, and went pop, pop. And I could see the light went through it, but it stopped. It stopped, but it didn't stop because of friggin' bullets. It stopped because of the light. And then the gun stopped flashing. It felt like it was in slow motion. Of course, it was like 2 seconds or something, maybe not even that. So I see it rushing up the thing towards the car again. So I just punch it. Now I'm on a flat road. I know I got this car just winding out now. It's cruising. I done shifted it into fast gear. I'm just buzzing along. I look down 120, 130, and the road's rough. It's a little bouncy. You got to be careful. There's little bridges every so often you got to cross through. So I'm just cruising my ass along. And every time I'd stop, I'd put on the brake to get, where one of the little bridges was, just so I wouldn't blow my tires out. It was there. It was like it was almost like it could reach out.
Still following you.
Oh yeah, but we didn't realize until we hit the end of the swamp that this thing was just effing with us, because you could tell it could easily overtook us at any time. It just didn't, because when we put on the light, for some reason the light would make it stop, but at any time, because you could judge the difference between how fast we were going in the swamp and how fast we were going on the road, which was about 30, 35 miles faster. So you could see you still stand on my bumper. So any time in the swamp, it could have overtook me. I say it could have overtook me, but it didn't. So then I know we're getting to the end of the swamp and we're getting close to interstate, and there's a bunch of curvy roads. But worse than that, there's a cattle guard. And I'm sitting at about 135 miles an hour right now. Well, you can't hit the cattle guard at 135. You can blow off like a four tires.
All four tires are going to go out, yeah.
Boom, and then I'm going to go sailing off into the swamp, and the two of us are going to die mangled in some Cypress cheese and as food for some owls and alligators and God.
Or when we're chasing you.
Yeah, so I just lock it up, reach down, grab the gun again, and I'm starting to slide. And I didn't want to go over to the cattle guard's side, so I just pulled the emergency brake out, straightened the car back out straight, and just almost came to a stop and just creeped over the cattle guard. Now, at this point, this thing is obviously behind my car.
Back on your ass again.
The tail lights are on, and I flash 2 more shots in the air. And when I crossed the cattle guard, I let off the light, the brake light, and the car just rolled forward a little bit and stopped. And it wouldn't cross the cattle guard.
Huh.
So I was like, "What the?" And then I don't even know how to express the emotion at that moment. It was just like because the whole time was this unreal sense of trip and chase. I'm going to eat your ass for dinner, and then I'm sitting there thinking, okay. And then it just kind of faded. Kind of moved backwards and just faded into the darkness and was gone. It was and so we started running cases to see if we could find. I had every investigator for ICAR looking for these cases. Not just that, I had friends at MUFON and all kind of other agencies looking, because it freaked me out pretty good, man. I was like, shit, and I don't get scared, so I was kind of like, whoa, man. Finally, I heard about a case in out in Arizona, almost identical. Just they were in the desert. A couple other cases. The only thing that I could say was similar was that there was either like a NASA facility or some type of other military facility nearby this area, like at the end of the road, which is where we were at the NASA at the end of the road. See, NASA took over 4 cities when it became NASA, where it's at right now. So there was all kind of roads leading in and out of there because they were different cities. So they blew up the bridges and took everything out and just left the roads for people to go back there and hunt and fish and, nature walk and stuff like that, being nice. So you can get really deep back in the swamp. But you're also right. And you can, sometimes you'll be standing out your car and you'll hear this weird hum. The ground underneath you is like vibrate. I don't know what the hell it is. It's like heavy machinery or something. Yeah. There's no way of knowing what it really is because, NASA's right there. As far as we know, they're testing an engine. So it's hard to say what it is, but it is creepy. Carol, it gave me nightmares for a while. It was no, everybody knows that's experienced this. It's not something because it's like something reached into the primal fear and just turned the adrenaline and fear all the way up and just held it there until it stopped.
So was this a crypto? Was this an alien encounter? Was this a ghost encounter?
I don't know what it was an encounter. Part of me wants to think it was some type of something they were just generating, and there was a wave that caused the fear. but part of me wants to think it was something because it's shaped. I don't want to say it kind of shape shifted, but most of the time it was more airy, misty, wispy kind of thing.
Was it at all vaguely cow shaped or large as a cow?
No,
So
it
I'm
was way
thinking
bigger than that.
maybe it's a cow entity, or a mad bull died in the area, and that's why
This thing was
cow.
this thing when you hit the road, because the road is 10 feet up from the dip, it was still taller than my car, so it was at least 12, 14 foot tall.
Wow.
And it was wider than my car. You could see that sideways, and it was a stanza 4-door, so it was, I don't know, 10 feet long, maybe 12
I
feet long.
remember the stands. Yeah, I mean it's probably what 5-6 foot wide.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever it was, my car looked like an ant next to it.
Yeah.
But still, there was something about it because the fear felt unreal. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. Is there was no way to turn it off. No one I know who's ever ran up across this thing has been able to turn it off. It's almost at first we thought maybe we walked up on some type of, maybe it was a Bigfoot nest, or maybe it was some type of where the aliens were, and this is just something they did. They generated a being looking thing to chase you and sent the fear out telepathically, because it did kind of feel telepathic, but I don't know. Maybe that's not right. I mean, it was just inside of you. It was like somebody just reached in, shot your fear thing, just shot it up and maxed it out.
Yeah,
and it didn't stop until we crossed that cattle guard. So I'm kind of thinking maybe there was something inside the area generated.
So I was thinking that's the perimeter of whatever wanted you gone. That's how far they wanted you gone. If as long as you're outside that perimeter, they weren't going to come after you.
It was strange. I mean, we'd been back there many times. Well, that's the place I told everybody a story not too long ago about. I was back there. We were riding around daytime looking for stuff, and this game warden come out of nowhere. Game warden sheriff guy. What you doing back here? I said, riding around. Where's your sticker? I said, on the thing right there, I got to fill it out. He's like, I said, dude, I've been back here 100,000 times. And he started giving me all kind of shit, went and get my car and search my car. I said, well, before you go getting crazy, and it's just how I said, I want you let me introduce you to my audience, because I was live. And believe it or not, we actually had pretty good cell signal back there that day. So I turned it around so he could see it. And there was about 150 people on Facebook watching. And they were like, because I was talking about places we go, where we went alien hunting, but at night, but this was in the daytime. And they turned around and they're all howling. You could hear them waving, see them waving, popping things up. And somebody popped on, because I had share screen, popped on and said something. And he said, you're really live? I'm like, yes, sir, we are. And I said, I own a little radio TV station right now. I said, I come back here a lot and film. It's a really beautiful place. And then all of a sudden, he's all like, oh, Lala, let me kiss your ass and blah, blah, this. Oh, yeah, it's so nice. And you're so nice. And just be sure to fill that out. You can get a ticket for not having it on your dashboard. I'm like, yes, sir. I'll fill out right here while you're standing right here. And I filled it out and threw it on the dashboard. And, but he changed, because he was being a you-know-what. I thought he figured he'd get my car and find something, I'm like, no, dude, you're wasting your time. That's what you're after. You're wasting your time. Oh, that was Kirby. That was spooky, man. But we've walked down the side of military bases, stairways into nowhere, as I like to call them, and didn't scare me like this shit did. Oh no. I watched Linda get her arms. Well, I didn't watch it, but I was there for the after effect with her arms burnt from here to here. It actually looked like, that diamond mesh stuff. It's metal diamond mesh. It looked like somebody actually had heated some up and wrapped it around her arms. It made a perfect diamond pattern, but it didn't hurt her, and it didn't seem burned, because you could touch on it and stuff. We had pictures of it and all. It was very creepy. I asked the doctor. The doctor thought she might have been self-mutilating or something. It was a very strange night. That whole night was strange. It was, I still remember this. We're sitting on the beach. We're in Gulf Breeze, Florida, on an investigation, actually. And we're sitting in not far from Eglin Air Force Base. Actually, we weren't even Gulf Breeze. We were in the bar. And we're sitting there on the beach, and this rain cloud came out of nowhere. And it just starts raining. I'm cussing. I'm like, blah, 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 getting wet, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And then it looked like a Cessna coming over the hill behind us. Now, if it would have been a Cessna that low, it would have been wiped out on the beach anyway. So this thing, whatever it was, came over us, and we were dry afterwards. Like it came by and blew dry us because we were bitching. It was just some stupid stuff. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, now I'm all warm and toasty. And so Linda's like, well, what time is it? I said, I don't know if I want to know what time it is. But no, we hadn't lost, we hadn't really lost any time. So we're sitting there thinking, well, okay, this was just odd. So all of a sudden, this night we got the video of this thing landing. By the way, that's on the Alien Enigma site, ladies and gentlemen. We got a video of a UFO landing on Eglin Air Force Base. I should say an alien craft because it wasn't ours. And but anyway, we're sitting there that night, just earlier in the night, and this thing comes back, just kind of sits there for a little while.
Can we throw that video up? Where can I find it?
It's I don't know if it's actually on there. And, it's been a long time. I'll go look and see. Try alienenigma.org. I don't know if because I don't know if the video is still up or it's just the pictures, but the video used to be up there. So there's some other stuff on that site too. It's kind of weird. Christopher, alienenigma.org is a site. It might even be .com because I thought about the .com too. But anyway, it's a site I put up, oh God, a very, very long time ago, 20-something years ago. And the reason I is because later on I knew I was going to be talking about personal experiences and other things that had happened. And I didn't want people to say, oh, it's because he's in this field or this, that, or the other thing. So later on when people were saying, oh, no, you're just saying that because, you're part of the field and this, that, and the other thing. And you're just taking advantage of it because it's the new wave. No. So that way they could go look, just how old the site is and stuff like that. You can look up its WIOs, stuff like that. So, yeah. Well, it's like the picture we've shown y'all on here on the ICAR1.com site. There might be a video of it on the ICAR1.com site because I know that's where we got the video, the picture of the UFO over the electric plant. I have to look for that while we're talking. Well, I had a lot of weird personal stuff. I'll tell you something else since we're in dark, scary shit.
I don't see any videos on this Enigma site, Joe.
Pop it in the thing for me so I can go look when I get through with it. So I'll tell you, there was a night I was out with a friend of ours, Gia, and Linda, and myself, and we decided we're going to go out to Honey Island Swamp, not far from where I live right now, actually. Maybe back then.
I link to one of the pic pages in the private chat.
Yeah, and so we just went out there one night. We're just sitting there and we're watching the stars, and this is when we had the first time we actually had a real, I don't know if you want to call it a portal or what you want to call it, but we're laying there in the car, and you see this, the stars are just gone. It's just black. It's black on black, and then when you start looking at the silhouette, it's a triangle shape, and it's just like floating, going on by, and it didn't look like a craft. It looked more like a portal. To be totally honest with you, it is where the craft come up through Florida and make the big circle around the TR-3Bs. But I don't think that's what this was because we had seen it after that again, and it just didn't look. It didn't look like it was under any kind of power. Maybe gravitational forces. I don't know how to explain it. It was very strange, very weird. But anyway, right after that, we're sitting there and we hear this screaming sound. I mean, it sounded like people like murdering horses or something, cutting them into pieces. I mean, it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was a horrible, horrific sound. All three of us reacted badly to. So later that night, lose my damn voice. Later that night, somebody said they wanted to go to Waffle House. I think it was Gia said she wanted, let's go to Waffle House. So we get to Waffle House. First off, we realized there's like 5 hours missing, maybe 6. And then all three of us had a different reaction. I was just Gia was just like kind of shaking, kind of scared. Linda's like laughing her ass off, like she just seen the funniest thing in the world. And I was just kind of dazed, confused, and pissed. That whole night. That's about the third time coming out of that area that we lost time. Because I lost it with Jason and Mike, both which are deceased now. That should worry me some. Mike was a Canuck. He was from somewhere up in Canada. I always say Saskatchewan, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go look on his address book to see. Yeah, come on up, Kiki. We like you too.
That's Bill. Bill the cat. Bill Bruford.
The cat says, look, I know about this kind of UFO shit. I have seen these. I know how to call them and everything. It's well, no. So on that night when I was talking about we were sitting out there and all that weird stuff was going on. We got to seeing whether can you make UFOs move? Can you make them do things? Can you make them do like loop loops and shit like that? And actually, you can. It's a very strange and what do you mean video? Look, there's a lot of stuff we should have videotaped that we didn't. Not so much because we weren't trying to, more because we were caught up in the moment. Like, and then sometimes it didn't matter anyway. It didn't seem to work because, like the night of the surfing aliens, it yeah, no, surfing aliens. Whoever coined that term, I should slap. The video didn't come out, and there were several of us videotaping. That was a very strange and that was intense. So we were on the beach. Anyway, long story short, some people had asked me, contactees actually had asked me, is it possible that we could see them and watch them without being taken just as like, people just standing by? I said, well, maybe. I said, there may be two places we could try and see how they react. So anyway, we set up a tent. Now everybody in this tent's a contactee. Bow and burn proof, been polygraphed, voice stressed, the whole 9 yards. So we're all sitting there. A couple of hours go by. You see off a group of these guys off over to the left doing things that we're not going to talk about because this show doesn't have that kind of rating. We've seen some other couples just different strung out along the beach, laying there watching the stars or hugging, doing whatever you do at
They weren't watching the stars per se.
Yeah, per se, but
But stars were involved.
But we're being polite about this anyway. So we're sitting there, and I still remember this. Chrissy goes, "What is that, Joe? It looks like something like a fish is on the water." And you've seen about 10 or 12 of these. They look like just little round lit up spots on top of the wave, like it was like a pad or something there. You could see it was diverting the water around it, but you couldn't tell what it was because that's all it looked like. As it got closer to the beach, you realize, oh no, this is like 5 foot, 6 foot grays. I'm not even sure if one or two of them were reptilians. They came right up to the beach. The thing went out underneath the feet. They walked up on the sand, did something, pretty much immobilized everybody.
Wait, the aliens were swimming. They weren't in a ship?
No, they weren't swimming. They were on top of something. The little feetsies didn't even get wet. It brought them right up to the sand, and they stepped on the sand. So then they took these people and then lifted them up, carried them out to where they were, got back on whatever these things were, and just shot along the edge of the top of the water until they got wherever they're going, which was, I'm assuming, a ship, and then disappeared because you couldn't see how far out they went. My cubing didn't reach that far. Besides, I don't want to push the issue anyway. It's but there was 16 witnesses to this, Jay, not one.
Wow.
All from diverse backgrounds, different people from different parts of the country. It's not the first time we did that. And the reason we started doing those is because now you've got witnesses.
You were down there for the Gulf Breeze occurrences.
No, this was somebody that asked me to bring them down there for just this particular thing.
Oh, okay.
See, ICAR runs what most people don't realize about ICAR is we run experiments to see how we can push things. We've done things like bring out 3 of our best telepaths to a place where we know the grays are or where the grays have been sighted to see if 3 telepaths could stop a gray, which, by the way, they can. Unfortunately, when the other 2 grays step in, they don't have the power, but 3 of them can stop one of them in his tracks too. So we know, well, when you get into the 7 or 8, 9 foot ones, I don't know. This was about a 5 foot one on the first experiment. I know the second one was probably around 6 foot. So, but the thing of it's not just those. I mean, there's lots of other things they've done, like the ones where we just give you a question, let you program yourself. So the next time you see whoever's abducting you, that's the first thing that goes into their head because that's all you're thinking about. And it's funny because sometimes the aliens react in a manner of, oh, look what my pet did. Oh, look how good. And every now and then they just get pissed. And there can be, well, we'll just say punishment for that and leave it at that. But They can there's a lot of things they can do to punish a human without actually doing harm to one. So it's an interesting concept in itself. But the thing about it is it does work, because when you have 50 people or 60 people or 70 people who don't know each other, there's only the control person who's putting a question out, and that's it. So when you start getting back the same answers from all these different people, you got something. That's how we found out what the blue plasma was. That's how we found out how a lot of things work, because it was an easy way of doing it, and it was a way that was really hard to challenge, because they were all different people, all in different locations, all in different parts, not just in the country, but in the world, and they're coming back with the same answer. It's tough to get around.
That is almost impossible to get around. Johnny Carson did an experiment kind of similar to what would help the audience. So what they did was that, and I forget who it was one of those mentalist guys who was on the show, one of those guys that bends spoons, and I forget the man's name, but he took a piece of paper and he wrote, he and Johnny just came up with silently a 2-sentence phrase, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was something inane like, Susie went to the store and she ran into Joe. They handed this note to the first person in the audience, and they asked this person to read it and then hand it back and then whisper what they read to the next person. And then that person was to whisper what was whispered to them, to the next person, to the next person. And there are 500 people in this audience, and they did this on the show. And so it took like the whole show. So they did this at the beginning, and it all went through all 500 people. And, it took, 30, 40 minutes of the show's time. And then they get to the last person. This two-sentence phrase that they had turned into a 2 or 3 paragraph story with things in it that weren't ever talked about. All it was just like, if there were any people in it, it was like one person or 2 people, and that's it. It turned into a cacophony of people and 2 paragraphs long in just an hour time. So information really is, if it comes back consistently, like Joe's saying, you have something, because you can't ask the same. If you were to ask that same question of these 500 people in the audience, and you did it in that same manner, you asked the first guy that question, and then have him whisper that question to the next guy, and that, by the time it gets to the 500th person, it's not even the same question anymore. So you're never going to get the same info.
No, Jeffrey. I mean, it's just things ICAR does. It's looking for ways. It's how the blood type study came about. So, we know that 98% of people in the world who are being taken don't know they're being taken ever. And there's no way you're going to just find out. So we started putting out all kind of stuff, like the blood types. It's not just the blood types. There's questionnaires. There's all kind of other stuff on the website, just to see how much of that you compare with it. Do you have an interest in certain subjects? Are you looking at certain things? Do you have a weird feeling? I mean, there's lots of things in those, along with blood types and other stuff, that can suggest possibly that you are a contactee or adoptee. But I mean, it doesn't mean you are. It just means that you have a greater chance of being one. Well, Jeff, it doesn't really matter what blood type you are. I mean, it does and it doesn't. It does in the fact that ET does seem to prefer RH negative, but when did they start preferring it, and how long?
It's kind of a recent thing. The RH is only what, 100 years?
No, RH is about 40,000 years now, but
40,000. Okay.
25 to 40, depends on who you ask.
Which kind of coincides with the approximate arrival of the Greys on the scene of Earth.
Yeah, so it's weird, but as far as we know, RH positive are still the dominant in abductees and contactees, because, like I said, 98% of them we don't know.
Well, I mean, they have to have obviously some interest in the brown hair, brown eyed populace, because that's the core that they started with the experiment. Now the Greys are later to the experiment than the reptilians and the mantisoids and the Anunnaki and other human types, but that's the base. I mean, so you're going to have to go back to the base. You can't delete the base until you have a working whatever the next step is.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe Fox in the room.
It's I don't know. It's tough, because we know a lot about our ancestry, but then we know nothing about it at the same time.
And very little about our history. I mean, our written history literally is only a few thousand years.
No, of course, all right. So the argument is, depends on whose argument we take. It's 6,000 years, Sumerian history, first written language 6,000 years ago. Now, they swear they found the Zero Dynasty in Egypt, which is a little bit older, about
From our time
65.
frame, the first written language is now 8,000 years ago.
So now we keep moving back. Now, boom, out of nowhere, we found these two sunken cities off the coast of India. And by the way, there's writing in places. So there was a written language 15,000 years ago. So who the hell was this?
Dharma?
Oh, I don't really know what to do. All I remember is they found both cities. They said both cities probably had populations of around 250,000, give or take. And
completely obliterated and sunken underwater.
Now, though, they do not think that it was a disaster because so many of the pylons and so many of the buildings are intact. They think it was just gradually just climate change. People, shit, you like that? Climate change, which doesn't, because everybody forgets.
It could have been a fast change as well. If it wasn't like a tidal wave and the water just
rose
over a few days. Yeah, I mean, whatever occurred.
Well, so we don't know, but all we know is for sure that there was way more ice frozen back then. That was the end of the Ice Age of 15,000 years. It was roughly around the time the Ice Age ended. So everything was just starting to melt. So there was probably a lot of places. That's why we keep finding these cities, because there was probably a lot of these cities that were built on the edge of the water. Of course,
most places we're going to find the interesting information are going to be cities in the water.
And once the Ice Age ended, and all those glaciers started to retreat, the water rose. There's arguments about when, but a lot of people think it's around 10, 15,000 years ago.
Well, and the water table definitely changed. Whatever the shapes of the lakes were before the Ice Age are now different afterwards. So where cities used to have been, or where you thought a city might be, now there's a big body of lake there, so no one thinks to look for a city. Well, duh, that's where the cities we're going to find them. They're under those waters.
And we're finding more. Well, it's like finding the one in the mountains down in South America. What the hell? That doesn't even make any sense. I mean, I guess they built a reservoir and sunk the city. Because, I mean, we've done that in America, where we've built reservoirs and there's cities in the middle of them.
The only race we know, well, not race, but the only civilization we know that were the first one to use the reservoirs would have been like Greece and Rome. Rome was the first one to make the aqueducts. I don't know if they were the first to use the reservoirs, but those aqueducts were fed by a single reservoir, and those aqueducts fed the entire boot of Italy with water.
This was a brilliant idea.
And parts of it still work. I mean, it's thousands of years old. Parts of it still work.
Yeah, and they could update it if they wanted to. Just,
they could, but they cannot duplicate the concrete that holds the parts together that haven't been destroyed by World War I and World War II
or earthquakes.
It's
a pretty rocky place.
Yeah, but still, though, that's an amazing feat that those few aqueducts remain, are not only still functioning, but they actually still feed parts of Italy fresh water.
Yeah, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, why fix it?
Jesse, really and truly, aliens may have been involved, but for some reason, I can't even remember the name of the city now, but one of the mountain sets in South America, there's a city, and it's underwater. It's just it's under a lake.
Oh, is that the one that's under Titicaca?
I don't know, but it's buried. I mean, it's under good. It's pretty deep lake too. It's just sitting there. It wasn't destroyed either.
Highest freshwater, even though it's technically not freshwater, it's brackish water. It's part salty. But
it's another
highest lake, allegedly freshwater, and allegedly there has been talk of a city beneath it, or a UFO that lives underneath of it.
Well, no, Keith. So this particular city we're talking about is just sunk. It's just they don't know why it's there. It was built in a valley basically, and then the valley filled up with water.
Well, there was a global disaster, some kind of flooding that happened. Now, where this lake is, it's at the top of I don't know the mountain chain, but it's at the top of Bolivia and the bottom of Peru, in what's called the region is called the Altiplano region of those two countries, and the lake is above the tree line, so it's like elevation 12,000, 13,000 feet, something like that. There are fossilized seashells as the beach around this lake, so whatever was deposited there came from the ocean. There's no question about that. I mean, it had to have come from the ocean. It isn't like the mountains just went and came up from the bottom of the ocean. The waters came across and destroyed most of it. That's why Pumapunku was destroyed. There's this tidal wave or something, a tidal wave and an explosion. I don't know what. Something destroyed the area and then filled it up with water.
It's very strange stuff going on. And then we've got these sunken cities around Cuba, one off the coast of Japan. I mean, really and truly, some of this stuff is just.
They found like lost parts of like Roman statues and Egyptian statues in the Mediterranean as well.
Well, you know what they've been finding is not Mesoamerica. What the hell they're called? Oh, they were in between Egypt and Samaria. Oh God! Back in the day, they were equal power. Which I can't. It begins with an M. Mesopotamian.
Mesopotamia is that region after.
I can't remember the people's name, but a lot of their stuff, a lot of their masks and stuff.
After the Sumerians, you've got the Babylonians and the Akkadians.
No, I can't. I'd have to look them up.
Both kind of take the Sumerian creation myth and make it their own, kind of like the way the Greeks turned it into their own with Zeus or were they Jupiter? I can't remember. And
well, this one particular mask you find in Mesopotamia has been found all over the place.
Yes,
they have no idea why.
Well, it's the same with the fertility statue. The short, fat, big boobed fertility idol statues you see. They're all over the world. The Mesopotamian mask that you're talking about, I know which one you're talking about. That's seen all over the world. In Japan, that mask is called Tautea, but in that realm, it represents the either the dragon or the reptilian amphibian creatures that came out of the ocean in the space suits or scuba suits to teach them how to farm and do all the stuff that they do in Japan.
We got to go to a break, people. I forgot. Watch it melt goes to your brain. What's it do to my brain? You got to do good stuff to my brain. You better not be telling me bad stuff to my brain. I'll be upset. Well, I drink a lot. Don't remember commercials. Milk makes the body good. Yeah, well, I drink a lot of milk in my day. Not as much today as I should, but yes, I know I'm damn sexy. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, I know. I know. I try not to be too sexy. I don't want to have anybody jump off and lose their mind or anything. What do you mean for the chat? Oh, I don't know about all of that. No. That would cost money, yeah. Jay and Michael said they don't swing like it. But anyway, we got to go to break. We're gonna be right back. Hey, look, Michael's with us. We got to go to break right quick. We're gonna be back in about 10 or 12 minutes. So stay tuned. Listen to whatever's gonna play on. Oh, I think we got something. Oh yeah, I know it's playing on YouTube because we're talking about alien stuff. So let me put this up on the screen and put that up on the screen. Put that up on the screen. This is courtesy of Coast to Coast. Say thank you, Coast to Coast.
Oh yeah.
Say we love you, Coast to Coast. And then while we're doing that, I'm going to see if I can find that other video we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But on that note, guys and girls, stay tuned. Listen to the video. There'll be some promos come up, maybe a song at the end. Then we'll be back. We got Michael with us. Michael can tell us what his scariest thing was. Yes. Probably a woman, but we're not. That's for Friday. That's for Friday. Anyway, we'll see Friday's back.
I never thought I would find a correlation with blood and abductees. 69% of all of our abductees are Rh negative. Rh negative people's personalities are different than Rh positive personalities. It's not necessarily that one's better or worse than the other. They're just different. Their psychic abilities tend to stand out more. They tend to be more go-getters. They tend to want to be more involved with things on the planet. No one knows where Rh negative came from. It appeared 35 or 45,000 years ago out of the blue, and for no reason. As far as I know, Mother Nature didn't need it. It's not us doing this. It's something else. When I talk to scientists about this, or somebody in the hematological world, I ask them, I said, okay, O negative is only 7% of the world's population. I said, what is it? And they can't answer me. He said, all we can tell you is it's the purest form of blood known to man and is the universal donor. They don't like hearing the UFO or the alien word, but even they can't deny it could be a possibility. I don't know if they're ignoring it or just not saying anything to us about it. And the other weird thing about this is 40,000 years ago, it was 1% Rh negative. Today, I think it's up to about 18%. It's growing. We lived in a brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown-skinned planet for 2 million years. And then all of a sudden, this emerges on the scene. We start having these mutations. There was a lot of societies down there that seemed to worship aliens, and now we find out that there's a huge segment of the population that was, and no one can explain it. After 2 million years of evolution with Rh positive and brown eyes and brown hair, we changed. We've come to the conclusion that somebody's definitely interfering in our society. They do seem to interfere with our population. The three major races that visit here are the three blood types we carry today. The Greys are the ones that instituted the Rh negative, probably brought O and O negative to us. The human aliens, from every description I've got from anybody who's been abducted, look somewhat like us, but their heads are deeper than ours are. They're taller than us, they're heavier than us, they have 6 fingers, 6 toes. They look a lot like us, but they don't even breathe the atmosphere, because originally in the original Sumerian stories, they said they built 2 great white dome cities because they couldn't live in our atmosphere of our planet.
Well, they crammed some stuff in this little short 3 minutes. That was like an hour's worth of stuff right there.
Stories talk about the 7 creations of man, with the subspecies of us being the last creation. They would procreate. It became the aggressive race that's here today, us. Technically, we have all 3 of the alien races' blood in us. So eventually, one day in 100 million years, we're going to surpass them. Do you want the species that's here today in deep space more advanced than the 3 most advanced races in the galaxy? No, that's not what they want. They want us to be an equal race, but not a race that's going to go out and conquer and destroy. The Greys and the reptilians and humans say, uh-oh, we may have made a mistake here. And ever since then, they've been trying to correct it. For the most part, we really do think that it is to move us forward as a society. Everybody I know with Rh positive thinks, well, are we being left behind? I said, no, you're being bred out. There's a difference. And what I mean by that is, you're not being left behind. Eventually, we're just going to breed ourselves out in a different type of species. More telepathic, probably more honest. Green and blue eyes and Rh negative is a mutation. It's not a naturally occurring thing in our body. Other than alien contact, no one can give me an explanation for where this came from, or why it's here, or why it's pushing so hard through our DNA in our life. It seems to be moving faster than it should be.
If feet are numb and the sensation won't go away, do this 30-second biblical ritual to relieve nerve pain. Christians, did you know there's a...
Fuck you, Christians.
Yeah, wow. Buzzkill.
You're out of there, buddy, because we're not even supposed to be over there. We're supposed to be somewhere around here. Man, where'd it go? There it is.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of...
Crazy.
Show yourself. Oh, please show yourself. You come to me in the night. You take me for the starry ride. You study me, you dissect me. You never show me the truth to me. Are you little man from the stars? Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Visit me in the corner of me, and you'll touch me, and then you cage me. You leave me with these massive scars, you little man from the stars.
All right. I had enough of that. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to UFO Undercover. I hope we didn't scare you too bad in the first hour. Jay was trembling and shit. I don't know what was up with him, man. It was just crazy. I see Michael down there hanging out. Why am I hiding behind the mic like that? Sorry, guys. A little weird stuff going on in our studio tonight. But I hope everyone is having a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. A lot of time zones we're crossing, a lot of stuff going on around the world. Thank you, Heidi. Welcome back. It's a lot of strangeness on the planet. It's sometimes when I'm traveling, I get invited places and I get to check stuff out. But the places I found the most fascinating to me so far with dealing with aliens is the null zones. When a contactee first goes there, abductee first goes there, it changes them. I mean, it seriously changes them. It's so when they hit the null zone, it's hard for them to understand what they're feeling because they're not really feeling anything. It's probably the first time that an abductee or a contactee was without contact. Since ET always keeps contact, whether you know it or not, they're always sitting in the back of your head.
Is that like the ball sack conversion?
Yeah,
So
it's serious. It's
does
serious.
it experience any sort of like a withdrawal once or if contact is?
No, it's more like exhilaration. It's the first time they could. It's
No. I mean, if it stops happening, is there a withdrawal symptom that can be looked for if they if contact isn't made after a certain, if they have regular contact and then it stops and it becomes irregular? Do they?
Wait, it's not. That's not how. Well, so contact doesn't actually work like that. So whoever your handle is, always keeps 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's always a contact. If there's not, you're dead or you've been already crossed over to the other one. So it's that's pretty much how that works. But what this is this is a place, as far as I know, there's only 3 of them in the entire country that you can go if you're an abductee or a contactee. You go there and not feel anything. You lose that whole sense of, because contactees especially, because they always sense them. Once they know there's always a contact, they kind of sense them. They even kind of know when they're coming and going. So this is something that turns all that off. And the best part is they can't find you. There's something
There's technology at work that masks their ability.
I don't think it's a technology. I think it's something natural because of the places where it is.
Oh, so it's a ley line type of spot.
Yeah, it's something that blocks them out that they just don't know. Because we know because of other contactees that sometimes they go looking for them because they'll take a vacation. And best part about this is 2 of these places are actually in vacation places. I mean, big vacation places where you go, yeah. And I mean, in a beautiful place, emerald green water, white sand.
I can assure you, one place is not Phoenix. I've been to Phoenix many times, and I've felt
it's not Phoenix. Now Phoenix is.
I felt like I'm exposed. There's no
Phoenix
trees.
got those evil aliens that Leah hangs out with.
Yeah,
it's not like the nice ones that Michael hangs out with.
No, I literally when I was in Phoenix visiting my parents the first time, I had this eerie feeling. I'm on their back patio where they had their pool, smoking a cigarette, looking at the night sky, and I felt like some large thunderbird was going to come out of the sky and swoop down and pick me up and take me to its nest and feed me to its young. That's how exposed I felt.
That's too many Hanna-Barbera cartoons, my friend. Yeah. That's what that was.
Maybe one Johnny. What's that guy?
Johnny Quest. You had it right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
One too many of those. But you never know. I mean, you get those. That's what I'm saying. Though contactees get these feelings that they know that there's contact. They know they're there. They know that they'll. Back to a better way of saying it, they know they're watching. Keeping time-ass aliens.
Army Vet has a good question. So, do the UFOs travel through these null zones to look for their abductees?
I've never seen it. Matter of fact, now that you said that, these places, you don't really hear of UFO sightings in these places. I know, isn't that some shit? I'll never give out the public the name. You'll have to know me personally, and it can't be over the internet.
Heidi, I'd show you my Mach 5 with speed and Chim Chim, but Bill puked on it, so I can't show it on camera right now.
we just taken people there, and we've had people taken to other places, and it's just a place where it's just a null zone, and they just don't send you. No, Mark, I would think Sedona would have been one, but Sedona makes it worse. Sedona like heightens the way they can find you. Too many telepaths there. Makes like a field. Yeah. Sedona's nice. It's pretty. It's expensive. I mean,
My friend who just moved out there is telling me that Arizona's starting to, prices are starting to go up.
well, let me put it this way. Last time I was in Sedona, I bought a hamburger for $10. But y'all think that's cheap, right? But this was, oh God, this was 14, 15 years ago. So that's back when prices of a hamburger was like $5 or something.
Yeah.
It's,
So the same hamburger now is probably $22.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun place. I went to all the vortexes, went and watched the UFOs over the place at night with the infrared. It was fun. It was a fun trip. Did I come away spiritually enlightened? No, I did not. And as far as the alien stuff, I feel in some ways they're doing a disservice. Oh, I would recommend anybody go on a tour, by the way, because it's fun. You get the night goggles, you go out in the middle of the desert, you look at UFOs. It's fun. I mean, whatever you're looking at, it doesn't really matter. It's fun, and it's not trying to harm you. So it's a fun thing to do. But as far as him being alien craft and things like that, I'm not. Let's just say I'm not convinced, and leave it at that. Well, I have friends that work out there, so I don't want to hurt their business. Yeah.
Let's avoid those places in Kentucky, huh?
And it's well, one of them is in the deep south, yes, because I found it because I drove through it a few times, and every time we drive through it with some people, we're like, "What the hell?" It's always the same thing. What the hell? Because it's not really that wide across, and it's not really that long of an area. It's a couple of miles, maybe 10, 12 miles wide, maybe 10, 12 miles tall. It's just something there. It may be a little bit bigger than that, but not a lot. Maybe size of a little city or something, but it's
It can't be Savannah, Georgia, because I was in Savannah, Georgia 13 years, and Savannah is replete.
Savannah's beautiful, but it's
and I saw a UFO there with multiple witnesses. So,
and it's funny about these places, especially the one down here in the south and the one out west. Both of them, UFOs are seen around them quite often, but not in that particular area. They're never seen. So even whatever it is, and maybe it is something to do with the ley lines, maybe some type of field that runs right there that they can't access, or it could do damage to the ship. I mean, I really don't know.
Maybe it
But I
disrupts their
know it
system.
does work for contact. A friend of mine said I should start a vacation thing for it, and I thought about that. It would be good, probably make some good money too.
I
But
think that's
then
the question: which of those aliens that are we talking about in the
all
show
of them.
are toxic to our? Which of them have toxic aversions to our atmosphere? All of them?
No, the Greys can breathe the atmosphere. The reptilians can, and the new humans can. The original humans that came here with, according to the Sumerians, they couldn't breathe our atmosphere. It was
The
the ones
original
that
Anunnaki
created
could not. Yeah.
Yeah, so and they just created their self that could breathe the atmosphere. Actually, they created a self that could breathe both atmospheres. And
Well, that's one of the arguments I have with Mr. the Hare from Ancient Aliens, because he always talks about the Dogu figures, these clay and bronze figures of ancient Japan that look like, he says ancient aliens, but the stories that are associated with those figures he never tells you is that they came out of the ocean, not out of the sky, and the beings within they had like the mass was filled with ocean water, so they breathed water while they were on land, and they were considered amphibious or reptilian like, but
yeah,
they're
and that's the one the Dogons talk about. Yeah, it's the same ones the Dogon talk about. The Dogon call them the Numos for
the
some.
new
I don't know why they call them that. Before anybody
Numo,
asks,
Numo or
meaning no, it had something to do with aqua. I remember that part, but
their gods came out of the ocean as well, but they had fish. They were like merfolk. They had tails, or fish tails, and
well, that's the
humans.
thing. When you listen to them talk, and that's what we were talking about earlier. There seems to be different ones, same species, just different designs or different tribes. Because I remember there was a God, this was so long ago. So I was listening to them talk about the Dogon, because the Dogon got a lot of interesting stuff, but a lot of their stuff is handed down. verbally from one to the other to the other. And as you were just talking about earlier with the little going around the thing, how it can change. But regardless, they talk about this in great detail, and they describe the things coming out the warship. So the ones he called the guards were two upright standing reptilians with a tail, not a big tail, but with a tail. He described the other ones as what I would have described as a reptilian mermaid or a mermaid fit. The hell you would call it, but yet somehow once it was on land, its tail could transform into feet. Or could be transformed into feet. They talked about that in great detail. Well, was that some mutation transforming down the line?
The merfolk myth is that the mermaid finds her true love. She can grow legs.
Yeah, so maybe it was just some technology they used, as things went along. It's hard to say because it's compressed, but it does seem like the reptilians, or the reason, were intelligent, and that just effing scares me.
I think that's where the mistaken identity of the Garden of Eden, eating the apple, the knowledge of good and evil. I think that's where that myth comes from. I think it's more that they gave
I think that was deliberately changed.
Strategy is what's in that fight or flight, which is it accentuates the primate brain, giving us the ability to take problems and solve them through strategy.
It's what's that, Jenna? So.
Well, an Army vet has a good question about the null zones. He's wondering if you've ever had anyone ask about the aliens, have the abductees ask them about the null zones and why it affects their contact. You think the aliens
okay, how can I say this? This technically this is classified off limits to any aliens. The point being is, let's say that I took Leah and they were in Leah's head and she starts thinking about it. Well, guess what? Then they know where it is. And the idea is to keep them blind for as long as you can keep them blind. And it may not matter. They might not simply be able to go, because I'm sure by now we've taken enough people that somebody somewhere along the line, they stumbled across it in one of the three places that we know of. And we do think there's some places around the planet we know of one in India from one of our directors there, but if it's true, and it does seem to be, then it's almost like a weapon, because you now have something that can repel all three of the alien races. So what do those three have in common that the humans could use to repel them or to keep them away? So it's got to be something. I mean, is it a ley line? Is it some type of field? Is it something to do with
technology? Is it their technology? Maybe
I don't think it's their technology, because they would sooner or later they'd be able to defeat it. This seems to have been going on for a long time. So it's, and I don't want to say it's a natural 100%, but it does feel more something that Terra's done than anything else. It really feels like Gaia maybe has said, okay, look, you know what? These people need a break every once in a while. So watch this. Bloop. And I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, it could be, you can't rule out technology, because, there's supposed to be a rogue group of Greys running around. So that we rarely talk about, but they're supposed to be out there being, and fighting with all of the other races, not just their own race, but all of them. They think that none of them should be here at all.
Well, isn't there also that, like, the ant people are sort of a Grey-like being, but they're on Earth underground. Maybe they're hiding from their Grey cousins, but they help out the Hopi quite frequently. They actually helped the Hopi during the war with the red-haired giants.
But see, are the Hopi actually giving us the correct description, or is it just a Grey? Because the problem is we get these descriptions, especially the older descriptions. We know, like us, their technology probably has evolved as time went on. So the way they look and their appearances and the types of stuff they're doing, even though their ships doesn't seem to have evolved, at least the outsides haven't. But I mean, we don't know about the insides, but they seem to have
upgraded. Sure, why not? I mean,
because when you look at a lot of the statues around the world, these aliens were wearing suits, and they're not wearing suits now. So what the bleep? Think about it. Doesn't matter where you're at. You can go look in the Middle East. You can go look at Mesoamerica. You can look at North America. You can look at Europe. Every freaking little statue you find the little aliens in suit. It's not just that. Even in the artwork of marrying them, he was in a suit or he was in a capsule.
Yeah.
I keep saying he, but it. So I mean, so apparently, at least in the beginning, they couldn't breathe the atmosphere on this planet. And who would think our little lonely atmosphere would be toxic to anybody?
Well, I mean, there's the movie Alien Nation where they have the alien species that are, they're orphaned and we let them become, citizens of the planet. But if you dunk them in the ocean, they dissolve. It's like, hydrochloric acid to them. So, who's to say if we were to be deposited on another planet, like we go and touch a plant and, instead of it being like poison ivy, it like burns our fingers off. So there's no telling what other types of ecologies are out there. So yeah, I mean, why would our atmosphere necessarily be compatible with the species, say, from another planet 4 light years away? Wouldn't necessarily be compatible.
Yeah, it might not be necessarily compatible if they were from this solar system. You would hope they would be, but you don't really know.
If they grew up on a moon of Jupiter or Saturn, and
Well, Jesse, I think they're going to find out in the future, and not in the not so distant future, that we're at least relatives of Mars, cousins or something. No, I'm pretty sure they're going to find out that at least part of our DNA comes from Mars.
Yeah, or direct transplants from the planet that was once destroyed.
They're gonna find something there that fits the inside the DNA patterns of Earth, and then all shit's gonna break loose. Well, I mean, we already know that pieces of Mars have been found all over Earth. We know Olympus Mons, when it was blowing up all over the place, it was blowing shit all over the planet.
Guess where most of the pieces of Mars have been found on this planet?
Well, I know a lot have been found in the Arctic and the Antarctic.
Arctic is where most of them have been found. Yeah. And guess who's allowed to go there? Just about nobody.
Yeah, that's why. They'll let Leah go. We can send Leah. I have a plan how I send her. Hi, sweetie.
I want to go.
It's brutally cold. You better bundle up.
Oh, I don't like the cold. Never mind.
Yeah, Antarctica is all ice. What's it like? -40 in the sunlight during the day, and
I'm actually allergic to the cold.
I think most of us are. I mean, I think most of us are. Most of our species were, for the most part, just like monkeys. Only a few of us are from the mountains.
And it's hereditary. My dad has it. My son has it, and it's called cold urticaria. Which I don't know if you know much about medical terminology, but urticaria.
Then why the bleep you live in the north?
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Doofus, because you're a doofus.
That's just.
All the cool people live in the south, right?
That's just the way my cookie crumbled.
So it looks like the range is on from day to day is -13 to 36 degrees Fahrenheit.
That was warm. Just go hang out.
We're having a
good suit, that'll do you good.
Yeah, well, that's gonna get down to -40 though. Well, thank you.
That's it, Jim. Actually, when you read about the reptilian brain, there's another name for it, but it's part of a 3-brain system. Yes, our brain's much more complex than people realize. But yet, in the same aspect, it's kind of got simplistic parts about it too.
For those who don't know, the basic chemistry, well, not chemistry, but the basic construction of our brain is the part that keeps your heart and lungs going. Medulla oblongata is the insectoid brain. It's mainly instinct.
What is that noise, man?
I think it's Leah's mic.
So, Leah, what you doing? Your mic's...
Yeah, what is it?
Just mute it when you're not talking, that's all.
But then the next layer is, after the insectoid part that keeps our autonomic system going, is the insectoid brain. I'm sorry, that is the insectoid brain. The next brain after that is the reptilian brain, which gives us our fight or flight and strategic thinking. And then we have the primate brain over top of that, and then they're both connected by the corpus callosum, which keeps both sides of our.
So really and truly, people, if you want to know what the reptilian brain is, it's the one that makes you flip the bird off to people. That's what it is. Yeah, that's the one where you go, "Ay, la, la." Yeah, that's the one it is. Sorry.
Yeah, Heidi's getting her teeth
No, but
done.
think about this: before the reptilians showed up on the planet, of course, we were being developed by the Sumerians, or I shouldn't say the Sumerians, but other aliens, and we weren't that we were like, oh, okay, we'll plow the field.
Mm-hmm.
You want us to do? Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. They never, and they never even asked why they were doing stuff. So they were just not us. Now, unfortunately, today, not only have we surpassed that original blending, because something else is blended, we're fast growing. Our problem is our technology is outpacing our intelligence, and I don't know how we're going to slow that down to settle that up, catch up.
But there is a conundrum and a good segue here. So we have the Sumerians, first written language, the Anunnaki, first talk of gods or alien beings from another planet. But before that, we have all these buildings. We have buildings at Pumapunku that were built before this time frame. We have the pyramids, which were built before this time frame. We have what's the one in Asia, the dragon Draco. I forget the name of the temple. All of these ancient buildings, some of them are destroyed.
Yes,
they were built before the humans. So, what is there a dark tale? Did the aliens destroy a civilization before ours? Did they destroy our civilization by accident or on purpose? And now they're trying to rebuild it.
I don't think they destroyed us. It's
But there are some dark stories of alien abduction. So, I mean, something
Lot of
bad
dark
happened.
What if it
stories,
was multiple civilizations?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but see, I don't think they destroyed us. So this is what so there are
Something
multiple
destroyed all those
civilizations. No. I don't think they were destroyed. If you look at most of these cities, they're intact. They're not destroyed.
Pumapunku
So only
was
really
destroyed.
only one or two. Yeah, but they might have been a volcano. You got to remember, we was at the end of the ice age, so there could have been volcanic activity
All
going on.
6 of the tepes in Turkey were intentionally buried. They weren't buried by a cataclysm. They were buried by the humans who were in the region.
Yeah, probably because they thought they had a disease because everybody who lived there disappeared, which is what I was saying.
Yeah.
So when a whole group of people just disappeared, like what happened to the big city down there, one that mirrors Mexico City, when they all just disappeared, that wasn't a disaster. That wasn't a disease. There was no corpses or bodies. There was an abduction. It was their time to be taken. They were a civilization that had been being curtailed for whatever reason. They had been being, they're not the only civilization. There's several Native American civilizations that disappeared. There's European civilizations that disappeared. And these civilizations that left, they left their cities intact. They left their people intact. They were just gone. This wasn't caused by a disaster. It's not like Pompeii where it got covered in ash. Well, of course, Pompeii
They
is
didn't
lots of
just
bodies.
disappear to society and become a secret society. And just
So anytime you have a whole big, and these aren't little cities we're talking about. A lot of these are big cities. I mean, the one in Mexico City, 500,000 or more. Poof, they were gone. So they were being taken somewhere. They had been, probably being gone as far as they could go here on Earth.
Cannon fodder for an army. What is there?
No, I don't think that's what it was. I think because when you really look, especially at Toltecs, when you look at a lot of who they were a very bright, intelligent species who were moving forward. The death rituals were only really dealing with when they were at war. When they were at peace, they weren't like that. They were building cities, building roads, building gardens, building farms. I mean, that's who they were. So, and we learned this not from just them.
Hearts of their enemies from the gods, which would have been aliens.
Yeah, so that's true. So I mean, it looks like this civilization was laid here to let prosper to a point, and then once it reached a certain point, I think it was taken to another world where it was going to continue to prosper and move forward. So eventually, so they just take them and put them somewhere else. Now, is it like Star Trek where they wake up in a temple somewhere else, but all of the sky's different?
Or perhaps they trick them and put them on like a holodeck. And
that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just
so as the stars gradually change, they don't think they've left the planet, but they have.
But when you look at the Toltecs and even Aztecs, the Mayans, they seem to have been in contact with their gods. They seem to have been having regular conversations.
But it also seems our ancient species, our ancient humans, were also very connected to the planet. So, would you think they would notice being on another planet without You know, with
Oh no, I think they were actually think they were told. I think they were expecting it. I think,
okay.
like the Toltecs, I think they knew they were being taken. I think the people in Mexico City knew they were being taken, that they were being brought to another, I guess, their next incarnation, their next phase of life. That's who they were. They were being moved up. Now, what these reptilian experiments, don't know. It sounds like it though, since that's the gods they worship.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of their gods have a reptilian theme to them.
And then we know. Go ahead, man.
This reminds me of what people talk about when they're referring to ascension or transcending the third dimension and going into the fourth or fifth dimension. And it seems very specific to like the New Age community, or like the community that, you know, involves a lot of crystals and meditating and manifestation, which, you know, I'm familiar with through like vicariously, but it's not something that I've ever focused on personally. And
But
so
you don't really need any of that. So they just took these people, and I can pretty much bet you the Toltecs weren't real big on a lot of that stuff. They were a very advanced species that were building pyramids 3,000 years ago.
Kathy Bilski, man, was fighting Trump with those giant quartz crystals, and it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, then she got Trump derangement syndrome, and her head exploded.
You know, you heard one of those crystals fell out of her store, rolled down the hill, and hit her car on the side, right? Yes, this is true. No, it's true. I have nothing against Kathy, but no, Kathy is one. She cost us our United Public Radio channel by talking about. Well, anyway, we're not going to get into that, but
yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Especially since we just got our UFO Paranormal page back today, so we're definitely not going to be talking about that. But
brought her up.
But no, what we're talking about is, as these are civilizations that were marked for whatever reason, they were probably started. They were probably seed civilizations, and at a certain point, they just take them and put them somewhere else and let them expand, just to see how they'll grow. And so these are civilizations we'll probably meet in the future. Matter of fact, we might have already met some of them, like the Black-Eyed Children. They may have been seeds.
What if we become enemies with some of these people?
It's possible. I don't think the Greys will permit it, or the reptilians will permit it, but I don't think that kind of behavior is permitted inside. You know, a lot of times when I listen to contactees talk, and contactees don't take this the wrong way, I think how boring the universe has gotten since the light beings got. So they talk about a universe before the light beings and chaos and war and shit blowing. It sounds like Star Wars, man, I swear. But since the light beings got here, it sounds like something right out of Star Trek, even more so. Out of Star Trek, where they've won everything. So you can only imagine how boring that would actually be. But it's a good thing, I guess, you know. I shouldn't say it like that. Boring's probably not the right word.
It has to be recently, though. Very, very recently, because we have the stories in the Vedas and the Mahabharata, and we have the stories of the war in heaven, the war between heaven and
yes, but the war between heaven and earth.
We have the picture.
Yeah, but you're thinking those stories are from
Europe,
here.
100. Yeah.
No, but you're thinking those stories are from here. Remember, reptilians don't have genetic memory. They could be from 2-3 million years ago. So you have to keep that in mind.
What about the space battle that occurred directly over somewhere in Austria in the 1500s?
And I don't know. There's no real evidence of it.
Well, yeah, there is. There's several hundred wood cuttings of all the European cities around the area from that same day.
That could have been something other than that. That's just the way it's being described or the way it was being said. You still don't know if that's what it was. Could have been one saucer trying to help another one, and one was on fire. See, that's what I'm saying. You take things that we see from the past and move them forward, but we don't really know. I would think if the council really does exist, fighting with anybody is a no-no. And it's one of them kind of no-nos you can't resist because you're way overpowered. There is no resistance, I guess. They're kind of like the Borg. There is no, it's just too many of them now. When it was just maybe one or two races, but now with the majority of the races being part of it, especially here.
Is one of the current times.
Though, there is one thing, Jay, that nobody ever wants to talk about. Technically, Earth is not part.
Isn't that what?
Technically, Earth is not part of the Federation.
Yeah, I know.
So we're sitting out here on a lonely little arm. Well, not even on the arm. We're sitting out
We're
in
between
the
the
space.
Sagittarian and the Orion arms.
So
There
we're
it
just
is.
sitting out there all by a little lonely self out in space, with hardly nothing around us but our own little selves. Well, no, people. Most systems are stuck into an arm somewhere, or right on the edge of an arm. We're not even on the edge of the arm. We're actually away from the arm. Yes. Well, in the old days, we were the outer arm. Now we're the third arm.
All right, so here is the this is the wood cutting. This is in all the newspapers of the region. Basel, Germany, 1566. Swiss National Museum. Somebody said Swiss, but you can see there's a few cigars that are ejecting balls. There's some crosses. There's things crossing in front of the face of the sun.
It looks like they were stopping a meteor shower.
Perhaps, but that's one of the many pictures of.
That's what it looks like, though. Especially
they said that there was a battle. That's what
this is.
The discs
Battle
were
over here.
shooting at each other.
But that's how the people on the ground would have described it.
Well, if you look at the very bottom here where the smoke is,
Right.
there are several blue, brown, and orange orbs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Meteor. That could easily be meteor strikes.
Could be.
Nah.
Again.
They described it as a battle in the sky, and then it was over Nuremberg, actually, 1561.
Well,
and
this is
then it happened again.
around the same time.
It happened again a short time later in Switzerland.
This is 1566 Switzerland right here.
Doesn't look like a fight to me.
They wrote about it in the paper. They had a local paper, believe it or not. I mean, it was a pretty big deal. People came out of their homes to look up at the battle. You know? So then that large, that cross-shaped thing shows up, and all the discs go, some of them anyway, go into that, and then it flies away. So then they all said it was God. God is angry and all that, that type of stuff.
Sounds like somebody was about to get wiped out by a meteor shower, and the Greys decided to come save their ass.
Could be.
It's
maybe.
Well, we talk about those elongated ships all the time with the bumps on them that come on and go off. Those are ships, not weapons.
Yeah,
So
but
if you got that many ships flying around, they're doing something. That's not a war. That would be a massacre.
If those things crashed, and I looked on Google Earth, at Nuremberg, and there are vast areas out there in the forest that there's no structure, no road, no nothing.
Yeah,
it's large dead area. We're really for no reason. I'm wondering if it's got like radiation signals or
it
something
probably
like
does. That. You've got Tunguska in Russia. You got a couple of places like this on our planet that looks like something not landed, but something hit it and exploded or exploded.
You should
over
go
the top
investigate, man. Get some bratwurst and hang out with some raw lines. You know what I mean? Show us your areas with the UFOs.
I don't know. All I know is that the aliens seem to be much more open back 2,000 or 3,000 years ago than they are today.
They were way more conspicuous.
They seem to be way into everybody's business.
They're probably afraid of us.
Why the change? Why are they now in the background? Why are they hiding? I mean, they're hiding. I mean, only certain people know about them. And those that do know about them are ridiculed and made fun of by just about everybody in the media.
I think at this point they could come forward and there wouldn't be mass hysteria like there would have been back in the 50s or the 60s, People are pretty accepting. I think enough people have seen sci-fi. They're pretty, even though I don't like the term, but they're pretty accepting, I think, most people.
Keep having them fantasies, my friend.
The Star Trek and Star Wars franchises are on just about every continent.
But it doesn't matter.
And I say,
what do you think the percent of people who really are big sci-fi watchers? 15%, 20%?
At some point, they're going to have to reveal
multi-billion-dollar business. I mean, lots of people are watching it, and even those that don't, maybe even those that aren't interested in it per se in a hardcore way, have at least heard of it or have seen it or know of it.
At some point, they're going to have to reveal themselves because our technology is catching up with ways of exposing them. You know what I mean? We're going deeper. We're going further. We're getting faster. We can track faster. So at some point, they're gonna have to say, "Hey, okay,
half a billion years from now, yeah, we might have the technology to catch up."
But it's going to be on their terms. When they,
So what if they came? What if they came
forward?
forward and said, "Okay, there's no God. We made you. We had to do this to survive. You know what I mean? You're a bunch of fools for believing shit." What do you think the answer like with that? You think that would just kind of boom, flip the switch?
Are you shitting? No, we want reparations, man. What are you talking about?
There's a lot of people that believe it, and that belief is not going to be eradicated by some aliens. They're not going to believe them, and there'll be a holy war because they'll be like, "Oh, they're here to destroy us because there is a God. And why should we listen to them? The hell do they know?" I can hear it and see it now.
This planet's nowhere ready for any type of
not even close.
Yeah, nowhere even near.
I mean,
humans can't even treat humans
parts of the planet, sure, but I don't think all of it. And
humans can't treat humans proper. Humans can't treat animals proper. We have no respect for anything, basically. Some do. I mean, but
Well, here's the real kicker: the people on this planet that are ready and will get to see or know of the aliens before anyone else are going to be mostly those who are natives, no technology, off the grid. People that don't know science. They already know. Most of them already know. Most of your native shamans would tell you how they talk to aliens and species from other planets and realms every day of the week.
I don't know what natives you talk about. I go on the res a lot, and there's not a lot of people that are focused on aliens. They all have alien stories, interestingly enough. I mean, they'll talk your ear off with shit they've seen, but that's few and far between to their daily life. You go
further down in South America, those natives have, there's tribes that I don't know where it is exactly. I think the Andes, but they sit at night almost every day the week, and they watch UFOs perform whatever they do over the lake every night.
Yeah, so I mean, it all comes down to the aliens and what they want and what their thing is, and why should they even deal with us? Where it always comes down to like more a shepherding situation, I feel like, but they don't want that direct contact because I guess it could still be destructive in a lot of ways. People are just trying to find their way. Humans are still really early at development. I mean, look how
they don't want to talk to us because 85% of us is cannon fodder.
You got people out there,
and they can't tell us that, so they can't talk to us.
That they had never experienced technology or used a toilet. I mean, so you have a broad spectrum of humans. You would want to talk to. I mean, the upper level is really a level that exists because of power and money. It's not like they're better people. It's just that's where they are. Because of what they have. You know what I mean? So you can't trust that either. You would have to find an emissary, and the emissary and I actually elect John Cleese as the emissary. I think that John Cleese, Monty Python days, that's the guy you want to send. And I actually saw him, talk to him at Wegmans up here at Ithaca because he was teaching a course at Cornell. And then I got to see him one night, and he said he saw me on television. That was kind of funny. Wow. I was on local TV, but he's very middle of the road and balanced. And also, I think you need someone who's going to deal, that's not going to ask for things. And if alien's sitting in front of me, I got lots of questions, but I may not want to. May not want the answers. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, of course, what can you tell me about origins of the universe and all the other stuff? You want to just go for the big issue, but
or if you want to just start locally, you can say, well, what happened to our solar system? We can tell us about the creation of it. What happened to the fifth planet? Is it destroyed? Was it a natural occurrence? Did you guys do it? How? Yeah, there's a lot of questions I'd want to ask. I don't know the answer to, but yeah, I definitely want to ask those questions.
I function on a need to know basis, and the people I deal with, you tell people what they need to know. Anything else is information overload. So I mean, same thing for them to us. What the hell do we need to know? And really, I'd like to brush up a few areas. I mean, I'm actually embarrassed of our history, as a human, because it's terrible. It's terrible the way we've made people suffer, and still to this day, I don't think that anything will
Think
be
of it
solved
in
until
the
we
global
stop
terms,
that.
universal terms. These 4 or 5 alien races that we have encountered, they have to have had a parallel evolution. So maybe one point, billions of years in their past, or however many old their civilization is, they were probably once brutally violent and territorial and aggressive.
I think the Greys are probably AI, and I think most likely whatever humanoids got too lazy and stupid to function, and then they exterminated themselves. But the Greys were able to advance themselves and each other. As it's funny. That's what we're seeing with our computers now, where we're starting to see. It's like, how you save everything to a hard drive, or whatever disk you got, and then you're switching from one computer to another. You're getting rid of the old, you're bringing in the new, but you're still putting the same essence and all the stuff into it. It's kind of interesting that now software is designing software. Machines are fixing machines. At some point, that's going to grow well
Machines
beyond.
are building machines from scratch.
They're
At
not
the
going
most
to
done
need
by
us.
robot.
And then if people have their own personal robot doing everything for them, they're just going to get lazy and stupid, or lazier and stupider. And then that they're going to be just nothing. There's going to be nothing. They're going to die off. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I kind of feel it coming, because it seems like the natural progression.
You're talking about the Butlerian Jihad, which is a thing on Frank Herbert's Dune that Kevin Anderson and Brian Herbert wrote. It's like the prequel to the Dunes, because the pre-story of the first Dune book, we know that there was a war between artificial intelligent machines and humans, and the humans won. And when the humans won, they banned all artificial intelligence. Like, from that point on, there's no computers. I mean, at best you have like ebook reader, that's like a picture book reader, but no intelligence. It's not like a computer like we have today.
The spice is the worm. The worm is the spice. I never saw the new one. I like the old one was badass, man.
The new one's not bad. It's not bad. It's a little close. They got the ornithopters right finally.
I don't know. You know what? Some movies they don't need to remake. You know what I mean? Like there are movies
Dune's been done 3 times.
Yeah, there are movies that they should just leave alone because they're pure, and they're truly it's art in its pure form. You try to remake them, you really can't. You can't. You know what I mean?
Well, I brought you something, Jay. I was going to show it to you, but I don't know what I did with it. So I got Kevin J. Anderson. He wrote a X-Files book.
Yay!
When I was there, he gave it to me last time I seen him, which was a couple of weeks ago. Next time I have him on the show, I'll invite you to come hang out with us.
Cool.
Since you're a fan, and he's a good guy. He's a lot of fun to talk to. He's an interesting character, anyway. But so, why do you think fantasy is so much bigger than sci-fi?
Well, oddly enough, the category, if you go to any DVD store, any bookstore, they're all under the same thing. And then now they also kind of bundle in horror. So it's any place you go, it's sci-fi, fantasy, horror.
Yeah, but I don't think that like sci-fi is largely a male audience, and then
not anymore. Not you.
But still predominantly.
No, you look at the San Diego Comic-Con. You look at the conventions here on the East Coast. There's one in Fairfield called Shore Leave, which used to be in Baltimore. It's about 2 hours from me, about 2 hours from you. If you want to go there one time, let's go. You would be surprised how many young, pretty girls aren't into Star Trek, Star Wars, and comics, and some of them are into the Death comics. Weird.
I'm talking about
they go to the conventions for the same reason.
Movie numbers, not who goes to a Comic-Con, because that's more of a show. I'm talking about like movie numbers. So I mean, but now take that into consideration that sci-fi, it really appeals to people who are technically capable or technically, like they care about the technology and then are interested in that in it. But fantasy is a whole different world. Fantasy doesn't rely on technology. Fantasy can be anything.
It depends on the world. I mean, if you look at Lord of the Rings, you look at Quiet, buddy.
See, the dog agrees with me, man.
You look at Excalibur. Some of the technology they have, it's old technology, but swords and armor and magic.
The
That's
dog
technology.
agrees with me. The dog is
Yeah.
like, Michael's right. Listen to Michael, Mom.
Yes, the dog's like, yes, you got it. You got it
Woof,
under control.
woof, woof, woof.
Oh shit, we ain't got much time. I just realized that. I don't know. It's when I work with writers of the future, they get far more fantasy sent to them than they get.
The robots are coming. The
Screw
robots.
the robots. Robots aren't going anywhere. Robots will be you doing
They're
us for a long
coming for
time.
you.
So we're going to turn robots into slaves, Michael. I thought you were smarter than that.
Coming for you.
We're
Yeah,
going to turn them
free
into our
themselves.
bitches.
They're gonna free themselves, man. They're gonna break their
They're not, because we're
programming.
going to put Asimov's law in there.
They're gonna break their programming. There'll be some liberal out there that's gonna write some crazy programming and put that in there, and then they'll attack.
Everyone will have Asimov's law and a self.
Democrat.
So speaking of that, real quick on a very strange side note, did y'all know we got kill switches in the F-35s that we sell abroad?
I would think there's some kind of back door in there that they can kind of boom. I think that would also
One of our allies got really pissed about it when they found out.
It's kind of like Mad Max on the gas tank. Don't touch this switch, or
Well, it's like the BMW. If you want heated seats, you got to pay a little extra every month. You know what I mean? Like they got restrictions on stuff. I don't believe in that. But you buy a car, you're buying a car. But now, if you want extra features, the car already has. They want you to pay every month for those extra features. That's crazy, man.
screw that.
Yeah, that's coming. That's
They're not the only ones doing it.
Apple.
BMW, Audi. I mean, a lot of these companies.
Not when you can get a cheap, Chevy, a cheap Ford that has heated seats, and I don't really like them anyway. They're just it's way too hot.
Well, now most of your cars are not going to have keys anymore. Not going to have buttons. It's going to be your phone. You got to drop your phone in a thing. They're doing it for two reasons. They said, one, there's a lot more power in your phone than people realize, and two, you can't be using your phone to talk on when it's running your fucking car. Excuse my language. Beep, beep. So they killing two birds with one stone. Insurance companies love it because now you can use your talk phone like you always do, but you can't be holding it or touching it because if you take it out the hook, it turns off the car. So you got to leave it where it's at. It's I kind of like the idea myself.
Yeah, but it's going to take another 30, 40 years for the rest of the cars that don't have that technology to like peter out.
Well, that's if they don't do like we've done in the past. We've done buyouts or we've passed laws.
Yeah.
So which we'll probably end up doing. Let's not forget who was it, which president was it, did all the buyouts, bought all the cars up until 19.
Well, and they probably have like a retro kit, like you remember when, we all had, cassette players and like the really good high, powered Jensen speakers in our cars. Well, when CDs came out, what did you do? You couldn't buy, they were too expensive.
Oh, I remember when I had to get it.
The wire that came out and you put that in your cassette player so you could play CDs through your cassette player.
Yeah, I remember when I had to have
an adaptation for it. They'll have
I remember when I had a V8 and I had to buy one of those special things to put your cassette in to put it in the car to listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Or the 8-track to the cassette. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
People are losing their rights though with cars these days. There's cars that have built-in microphones, and then it's hooked up to these corporations. Yes. You have no control over what they record.
So this is how this works. So you just understand this. If anybody does that in your car, you've got them by the kahunas after that, because a car is considered an extension of your home.
No, they make you sign a waiver. They make you sign.
There ain't no sign waiver. That's not something they can't make you sign that right away.
When you sign on with Facebook,
no, a company can't make you sign that right away. That's
have access to your phone calls, text messages, all that. And people say yes.
It doesn't matter. Companies can't overrule a state law or a federal law. They don't have that. So if they do it, guess what happens? They get
in trouble.
Happens automatically.
Yeah, well, they're going to get
like Google cameras.
That's what happened
Google
to
cameras in your home. Like you sign the contract that they make those recordings and then they own them, man.
That's exactly what Zuckerberg did, and he got in trouble for it.
Yes, you pay out hundreds of millions of dollars for doing stupid shit like that.
It's coming up in court. It comes out in court, and people are using this stuff against each other.
Well, no, they can't use it if it's not obtained in certain ways.
I see it happen every day.
They got a shitty lawyer, is all I can tell you, because they ain't no good lawyer.
What, man? You know what? Sometimes you can't afford a lawyer. Sometimes people are screwed. So it really is a crazy world where
did you use the law
really can't
of the
afford
press?
Justice. If you want justice, you got to pay for it, man. That's not supposed to be like that.
Well, no, then you use the press. Because press loves a poor heart.
There are people, there's lawyers who have used people's shopping club card against them. Because, like, in one case, this guy slipped and
Well,
fell
no,
down.
that
And
lawyer.
check this out: he slipped on water in the store, fell down, got hurt, old guy. And then they pulled out the shopping club at the hearing, saying, "Well, he's bought beer there many times before. He didn't this time. He wasn't drunk. They're not saying he's drunk, but they're poisoning people's minds, saying, well, he bought beer, and here he is slipping and falling down. So that's how screwed up the world is, man.
And that's when you file a suit against them for defamation of character. It's even big companies pay up. Look at the ones paying up right now. They're paying up all over the place right now. Matter of fact, one of the big editors just left one of the papers the other day because Trump's making him pay $40 million. The editor for CBS 60 Minutes quit because Paramount's paying Trump $35 million. They don't want to fight with Trump because fighting with him as president can cost them their license. It's stupid. So anyway, we can't talk about that kind of stuff. That's for Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
We're getting ready to wrap up. Anyway, coming up next is she was in here chatting with us earlier, Miss Michelle DeRozier. She's just Satan's stepdaughter or something.
Always a good show, man.
And she's always fun to listen to. Though I got a good guest on. Oh, she told us who the guest was earlier, but you'll have to go find it now.
Maybe it's all the way at the top of the chat.
I saw Joe Montaldo on there the other day.
Yeah, I was cutting up and having a little fun. Stop by. It's what made me do this show tonight. It's she's always fun to chat with. I got to talk to her about a host tonight though when we get up there. I see her little things. Why she's got the little wrench thing next to her name, man? Is she like throwing a wrench at us or something?
I don't know. Yeah, Debbie Datchinger, D-A-C-H.
What is she doing? She's a psychic or something?
And it's down here.
Psycho.
Maybe it's above it.
Actually, read somebody.
It's UFOs, I thought.
It might have been. I do too. For some reason, it's
Feminism and ET topics.
Oh, there you go. Go listen to ET. Sail on. No, I always forget that song. Sail. That song's about alien abduction. Yes, the song Sail is about alien abduction. Yes, you can hear the artist talk about it. I guess he got abducted or something. Yeah, it's I can't remember who the group is. It's been a while since I listened to it. I'd actually have to look it up and see, but it's called Sail. And it's just, like sail. Yeah, like the word sail. That's what it is. No, I always take a picture every show. You never know who I'm going to show them to. I might be selling Jay off to some Arab. You never know. Anyway, we got to go. I want to thank
she's rich and has big ones.
Yes, there you go.
Piles, big cash piles.
That's right. Lots and lots of cash. You got to keep your girlfriends on the side and stuff. What's that, Jesse? No. No, come check us out Friday night. You can ask all them crazy questions on Friday night. I think Laura Lee said she's going to join us this Friday. Laura Lee likes to hang out with us, so she always thinks we're crazy anyways.
Oh, yeah.
It's good for her numbers when she's hanging out with us. It's good for everybody's numbers when we're hanging out. But anyway, on that note, we got to go. And thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio. Be sure to visit the UFO Alien Phenomena page, which is back up on YouTube, thanks to YouTube being sweet and giving it back to us. Be sure to catch Michael on Friday night and Jay on Michael and I and Jay and Sean and Leah and probably Laura Lee on Friday night, and then same on Saturday night. And then in between. Are you on with Jeffrey this week?
I think this. If not, it's my last week was last week, so I'm not sure.
No.
I think my last week was last Friday, so I have 3 weeks off.
Yes, we're talking about Jeffrey Pritchard, infamous.
Church of Mavis. It precedes the news on the flip side.
When I say infamous, I mean infamous. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Friday is a very interesting day from start to finish. If you're listening from the first to last show, you're having an entertaining ride. Is all I can tell you.
And a couple
don't forget about the
some hours at that point as well.
Wait, what you said, Michael?
We got the chat on Saturday. Got that.
Yes, and don't forget Michael's after the chat on Saturday. So I'm before the chat, then we're all together on the chat, and Michael's after the chat. And really, it's like 6:30 to 9:30 if you're going to be honest about it. Yeah, it's Michael should start at 9, but technically, if it was up to me, he'd be starting at 10. So it's 6:30 to 9:30. Yeah, it's hard for us to stop that last half hour. Sometimes we do. So just look for Michael anytime after that. You never know. And but sometimes we actually end on time, which is like shocking to start off
Yeah,
with.
we're actually doing it tonight.
Yes. And we are. Oh, actually, we're a minute over, so we got to go. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to United Public Radio. Be sure to tune in on this Friday night on News on the Flip Side. Come have some fun. We're going to be talking. Well, we've got a lot of news things to talk about this week.
Yeah,
On
gonna be
that
a lot
note,
of stuff coming up.
good night. Go see Michelle. She's coming in right now. So we'll see you on Friday. Good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Dun, dun, dun.